All right. Hi, everybody. Let's try that again, huh? So we're back to 40 minutes. What does that mean? So we finish at 10 after the hour? I guess that makes sense. Is that right? Because it would be 5 after normally.
It's okay. You can use your 40 minutes, and
Okay.
we will fix it later.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Josh. Very happy to be here. Look, this has been here for like 5 minutes. Hopefully, you have taken a photo. The code that we will work on today, I'll put it in here. It doesn't exist yet because I haven't written it. But when we write it, it'll go there afterwards, okay? You can find me online. I have email. I'm very online. My buddy James Ward and I are writing a book called Bootiful Spring AI. And we also, James, my friend Deshaun and I, we run a YouTube channel. And it's not terrible, okay? You should like and subscribe. Do the thing, right? Join us on this little adventure. Coffee software. It's not the worst mistake that you will make, okay? So, my friends, I want to talk about the amazing, wonderful world of Spring Boot 4 and beyond, right? Remember, every 6 months we release a new version of Spring Boot, but this is a very special release. This is a new generation. 4.x is big, right? And so we have, the Spring, let's just say, I'll just skip the word Spring here. I'll say framework, and then on top of that, you have projects like data, integration, batch, security, etc. On top of that, you have Boot, and then on top of that, you have projects that depend on Boot, like modular, cloud, AI, and for the moment, gRPC. So when we talk about 4.x, it's a kind of a middle ground, isn't it? Right? Because a lot of stuff has to happen before Boot, and a lot of stuff happens after Boot. So Boot 4 is kind of the middle of it all. But all these technologies are lined up with Spring Framework 7, not 8, there, come on, 7, and Spring Boot 4, okay? So it's a new generation. We're going to talk about some of my favorite features across a number of these different projects here. But as with all things, it's important to have a context. And I like the old Spring Pet Clinic. You've probably seen the Spring Pet Clinic. It's a sample application. And it's good, but there's a lot, and we don't have a lot of time. So I like the idea of animals, dogs and cats and all that. And so, this is my favorite animal. I talk about this dog named Prancer a lot. His owner was trying to find a new home back in 2021. And this person tried to find a new home and described this dog. She said, okay, I've tried for the last several months to post this dog for adoption and make him sound palatable. The problem is he's just not. There's not a very big market for neurotic, man-hating, animal-hating, children-hating dogs that look like gremlins. But I have to believe there's someone out there for Prancer because I'm tired and so is my family. And so she just continues on and on and on talking about this poor dog. And it's very funny. And she does sign off and she says, oh, he's only 2 years old and will probably live to be 21 through pure spite, right? So take that into account if you're interested. Very cute dog, though. I would pet this dog, right? I might lose a finger. I would still pet it. Very, very cute. And I think about this dog a lot. He was adopted, by the way. Don't cry. He's okay. He got adopted. Here's People Magazine talking about him. Here is the USA Today talking about him, right? Here is BuzzFeed talking about Prancer, the viral nightmare chihuahua. And, of course, here is the New York Times, right? Talking about Prancer, the demonic chihuahua. So he was adopted. But what about the other dogs? We should build a service to help adopt terrible, terrible dogs. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to start.spring.io, and we have some choices to make. First, what do we want to call this? I will call this adoptions because I'm amazing with names, okay? I get that from my father. He was amazing with names. When I was a small boy, we had a small white dog, and my father named him White Dog, okay? Great with names. Just imagine, though, what he would have named me. I'm glad my mom chose. So, what version of Java do we want to use? Friends, there are 4 radio boxes, only 2 valid choices. These other ones we keep just to see who makes terrible life decisions, okay? You should never use these ever. These 2 are valid. This is the long term, this is the current one, Java 25 and later. I love Java 25. It brings one of my favorite features, right? Watch this. I'm going to open this up. Okay, void main, and I'll just type this out here. Hi, Devoxx Grease, right? And look at that. I'm going to escape Vim first try. Very impressive. So now I'm going to run this. I'm not going to compile it. I'm going to pass it to Java like a script. Okay? Like a script. Do you know what you just saw? Do you know what you just saw? This is the first good JavaScript. First one. 30 plus years we've been waiting for this. Okay? It has never happened before now. Finally. Good JavaScript. And this JavaScript, like me, no class. Okay? Love this, love this. So Java is an amazing language. So let's build an application here. We'll use the Postgres support. We'll use the web support. We're going to use Spring Data JDBC. We're going to use Web Auth support. We're going to bring in Spring Security. We're going to bring in Open Telemetry. We're going to bring in Actuator for observability. We'll bring in the dev tools for fast reloads. What else? Maybe we'll bring in Spring Modular. Let's see how much time we've got. I think I'm happy with all these selections. Choose any language you want, right? You use any build tool you want. I think, okay, let's go. Oh, you know what else I want? This is another thing that's nice about Spring Boot 4 is we've decomposed the monolithic auto configuration. So now each of the auto configuration classes, all of them, they live in the right jar. So it used to be that every Spring Boot project, no matter what you were using, had all of the auto configuration on the class path, right? This is what causes a delay when you start up the program, is the actual I/O of unzipping the zip file, reading the classes into the JVM, and then parsing those class files, right? So if you reduce the number of classes, things go faster. And you can see that this is true because when we use DevTools keeps a copy of the class loader with all the classes on the class path already loaded in the JVM, and it just recreates the Spring context. That's lightning fast, right? You can make it like a fifth or a sixth of the total time to start up just by only recreating the Spring application context with the new classes. Okay, so let me see here. I've got too much stuff here. I'm going to get rid of everything except for that. Okay, goodbye. Here we are. UAO. I'm going to use another JavaScript. Okay, it's aliased to there. It's unzip and open. So here we are, adoptions.zip. And I'm using IntelliJ, and you know, we have very little time, and we joked about me maybe doing it one-handed, but the problem is I'm not very quick these days when I type code, because last year I undertook a spiritual journey to learn Vim motions, right? And it's very awkward. It could not have come at a worse time, because I'm using IntelliJ with Vim, and I'm trying to go quickly, right? But I don't know how. I'm hunting and pecking. I'm going very slowly. And my friend Anton Arhipov at JetBrains, he did a talk at a conference in Barcelona a year ago called El Rapido, coding like Josh Long. The problem is that I am no longer coding like Josh Long. So this was very embarrassing for me because I'm over here like, and he's, you know, moving really quickly. So anyway, I have this application. We shall connect to a SQL database. I have this database running on the, you know, on my machine, on a Docker image. My user, and then a URL, JDBC : and then we'll say my database. Okay. All right. So there's my application. It's up and running. And you know, I'm going to do something right now, something terrible. But if you, for some reason, if you cannot finish this talk and you walk away right now, I am going to comment out security, but the message is not that you should comment out security, okay? Don't take that message home and say, oh, Josh commented out the security. No, I will add it back, okay? So we're going to build a simple controller to help give us information about the dogs, right? So I'll say dogs controller. And in order, of course, to get that information about the dogs, I need a data access layer. So dog int ID, string name, owner, and description, right? And I'm going to be using Java records. I love, huge fan of Java records. Big fan, okay? Big fan, okay? Interface, dog repository, extends list of CRUD repository, managing dog whose primary key is of type integer. And of course, one of the nice things about Spring Data, the new release, is that you can build these, you know, this has always been true. You can always build a custom query based on a parameter, right? And behind the scenes, this gets turned into something like select all from dog, where name, blah. But it was a proxy, right? But if you're using the AOT framework with the JVM and Project Loom or GraalVM or whatever, you have this ability to do compile time code generation for the dialect, right? So here we are. And so that's really convenient. So you can actually, you'll see that it gets turned into a code-generated query. You can put your breakpoint in there and step through the actual implementation of this method. Let's just go ahead and try it out. Why not, huh? So skip tests, because I didn't write any tests. P native compile. Here we go. And target directory, Spring AOT, classes, sources, com, and then down here, here's my dogs repository implementation, and there's my custom and we don't need to actually finish that. We're not going to run it right now. Okay. Here's my actual implementation of that method, right? AOT. This is good even if you're running on the JVM. Of course, it's even better on GraalVM, right? Okay. So we have now an implementation of our repository. Let's use it here. Private final dog repository. Private final dog repository. Add that to the constructor. Dogs collection. And you know, to start, to make this work, I'm just going to return a subset of the data that I need. Okay, we don't need all, the requirements are simple. Take the dog, return the full name of the dog, dog.id, dog.name, and the ID, and it's dog.id. And of course, the lowest common denominator type between integer and string is serializable, not object. So you have to downcast, otherwise this has to be serializable, which I don't want. Okay, so there's my endpoint. Let's go ahead and start it up and see if that works. Localhost 8080 dogs. Okay, sad. What happened? So sad. No classes found in package com. Yeah, I mean, what the heck? Compile one, please. Okay, did I make it sad? Maven package. Do. Okay. Okay, thanks for nothing. So here we go. Here's the data. I got my data. And I got the results, and it's fine. I got the full name and the ID. But you know, things change, requirements change. So maybe I have a new version, version 1.1, right? This is a new feature in Spring Framework 7. I can do API versioning. So I'll return now all the data, right? So I'll say repository.find all. And now I've got the old API and the new one, because the requirements have changed, but I got to preserve backwards compatibility. I can tell Spring the default version here, API version, use header, dogs version, and I'll say API version, okay, dot default equals 1.1. Okay, reload, and I go here. Now, if I go here, I get all of the data by default, but if I specify the header, curl -h, x dogs version 1.0, and then paste that in, I get the limited version 1.0, okay? So that's API versioning. This is dogs, obviously. I like dogs, but we can't forget the cats, right? So let's build a cats controller here. And I'm going to return information, you guessed it, about cats. But in order to do this, I want to build an interface, a client, right? So I'm going to call a website, a third-party website, and get information about cats, facts about cats, okay? So I'll say record cat facts, collection facts, and here we are. So I'll say cat facts, okay, get exchange, HTTPS, www.catfacts.net API, okay? Now, it's a lot easier in Spring Framework 7 to use this declarative interface. You just import it, right? So I say import that, and then voila, I have now a declarative interface that will actually be usable. So let's inject that here. Add that to the constructor. Cats, cat facts, and voila, okay? So now I go here, cats, it's making a call, and there you go. The ancestor of all domestic cats is the African wildcat, which still exists today. Neat, okay? Now, this is a good website, right? It has worked well over many years. You know, I have no problems with it, but sometimes things will fail. We saw this last year, right? Last year, Cloudflare went down, and then before that, Amazon. And this is I'm not talking poorly about either of these, right? Amazon US East 1 is arguably the best run data center on the planet, okay? If it can go down, everything can go down. And we should just build our software being aware of that. That's just a fact, right? And so one of the things we can do is to make our code a little bit more resilient, okay, to outages. So here's enable resilient methods. I've added that. And now I'm going to simulate an error, right? So when I call this downstream service, I'm going to artificially create an error. Obviously, you would never do this, right? This is not something that most people do. It is sometimes called PHP. Now I'm not going to add that error on purpose to my code otherwise, right? So if this.counter.get an increment is less than 5, then io.println, oops, okay, and I'll throw an exception. Like that. Hello, come back. Throw new illegal state exception, okay? And in order to make sure it gets recalled, I'll say I want to use retriable, and I'm going to include the illegal state exception. Okay, and there's all sorts of other things you can specify here. And then finally, I'll say, got the facts. Okay. So now I make a call, and you can see, oops, it's taking a lot longer than usual because it has to call multiple times. But eventually, we get the facts. Okay. So we've got declarative, robust, retriable code. We've got nice debuggable clients and so on. By the way, another thing you could do if the downstream service is maybe a little fragile, if it's actually implemented in, for example, PHP, you can use concurrency limit to limit the number of threads that can go through this method at the same time. Another new resilience method. Okay, so now we've got our application. Are we ready for production? Right? There's a lot of things we have to think about when we go to production. Obviously, since you're all using Java 25 or later, right? Right? Right. Since you're all using Java 25 and later, there's no reason that you would never set this. Put it another way, you should always set that to true. Always, 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 always. It's a great, great thing, okay? Free scale. It's a good thing. The JVM team has done amazing things for us. The virtual threads is an amazing thing, okay? I want to make my application secure. So let's talk about security here, okay? Actually, no, wait. Before I get to security, I want to talk about modularity. I just realized we have a lot of time. We have 23 minutes. Don't worry, we're good. Let's talk about modularity. I want this code to be written in a way that it's modular, right? I want good architecture. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to refactor this code to take advantage of Spring Modulith. In the root, I'm going to create a cats package, okay? So cat facts, cat client, etc. That's going to be a new module, okay? And then I'll create a new dogs package. This is a new dogs module, okay? These root packages are modules in effect, okay? There's this. And of course, this can be moved anywhere else. So I'll put that in the cats code here. I guess I can just create a config, cats configuration. Okay, there we are. Okay, so now I've got this. I've got my cats and my dogs in two separate packages. And what I want to do is I want to support adopting dogs. After all, that's the goal, right? So let's build an adoptions controller in the adoptions, because we don't have to build one for the cats. And the reason is because you don't adopt cats. They adopt you, okay? It makes no sense for you to even entertain the idea. So we're going to have a endpoint here, and we're going to use that to inject the repository. And we're going to create a method here called void adopt int dog ID string, and we're going to replace the owner in the database with the new ID, the new owner name, okay? So here we are. And we're going to go here. And what I want to do is I want to make sure. I'm going to say repository.find by ID, find the dog ID. If it's present, then we're going to update it. So we're going to update it like this. We're going to say new dog, dog.id, dog.name, owner, description. And we're going to save this to the database. So repository.save, okay? Voila. And I'm just going to print out, hey, adopted this dog. Okay, very good. So we've adopted the dog. I feel like that's pretty straightforward, right? And notice that as I'm moving forward in my code, I'm always using package private by default. And I'm also grouping my code by the feature, not the role, right? This is good object-oriented design. Remember, we are using Java. Java is object-oriented. It gives you privacy and encapsulation, right? This is a feature. The reason is because if everything is public, then everything is a contract. Remember, when you use public, it's a contract that you're making to everybody for all time that this code will not change. It's a liability, it's a debt. So you should not use public often. You should use it very sparingly, right? And so I see bad patterns all the time. People do something like this. They do app.models dot app.repositories dot app.services dot app.controllers dot. Imagine you have a customer. That has to be public now because you want to use it in the repositories package, right? This has to be public because you want to use that in the services package. And this needs to be public because you want to use it in the controllers package. This is an anti-pattern, right? You've made everything public even though you're dealing with customers. You've layered the incorrect way. I don't know where this came from. I think a lot of people copied and pasted from Ruby on Rails, right? I don't know why this is done, but you should not do this, right? If you want everything to exist in a flat global namespace where everything is visible, just use C, okay? It's more honest. Just use that. Don't bother with Java. You're wasting it, right? Use C. Instead, do this. app.customers.customer, customer service, customer controller, etc., right? Now they can stay package private. If you need things to be public, be very careful about when that happens. So let's talk about this. I've got this adoptions endpoint. Maybe this will work, of course. See, I can go here, 8080, dogs, 45 adoptions, owner equals Josh, and I can do a post, and what happened? What happened? 5. Oh, computer says no. Path variable, request parameter. Okay, take 5, post, good. Go over here, go to my database. Sad. Here we go. Click on this. This is one of my favorite features in IntelliJ. Just, so good. Look at that. Okay. I did a presentation with my friend Dr. Venkat Subramaniam and James Ward in Vox Days, Amsterdam, a few weeks ago. And Dr. Subramaniam, he said it best. He said there's 2 types of developers: people who have IntelliJ idea and people who have no idea. And it's true. It's true. So I've got these dogs here, and if I look at the dog table, right? I've adopted this dog. But is this normal? Is this how you adopt a dog in most places? You just update one column in one table somewhere and suddenly the dog is yours? No, there's process, there's law, there's formalities. You have to make sure the dog is seen by the veterinarian. So I'll create a new package here called vet. And the veterinarian, of course, is a doctor for the dog. It's a dog tour. Okay? So we've got our first problem here. See this? Why is this public? IntelliJ makes it public, but that's not what Java wants you to do. Public is an extra keyword. You have to type it extra. IntelliJ has this really bad default, right? It's been there for years. I don't know why it does this. It's a terrible default. And they understand that Spring developers write good code, right? So if you create a new Spring component, like foo, right, whatever, package private by default, okay? So I don't know. I'm not saying you should use that all the time. I'm just saying it's really, really useful. So I've got this, and it's not public, okay? But maybe it needs to be. Maybe this needs to be. If I want to use it, I want to have a method here, int dog ID. I want to say int, check up on dog ID, okay? If I want to use that from this controller over here, I have to make it public, don't I? Right? I have to inject it and then do that. And I could do that, but I don't really think this is the right way to go because I don't depend on the outcome. I don't care about it's void. So maybe this isn't the right way to go, actually. Let's undo that. Remove that code. And, no, that's fine. Go back over here, okay? I'm going to remove that code, and instead I'll make this package private, and I'll introduce an event, okay? Events are a great way for, what is happening? Oh, there, haha, okay? Good. I'm going to make an event that I'm going to publish from the dogs package. I'll call this dog adopted event, okay? And here we go, public record int dog ID. And this is what I'll communicate from one module to another, and I'll listen for that event here. So dog adopted event, here we go. And over here in my controller, I'm going to publish that event. So the other module will get the information, but it doesn't have to respond to it, and this side doesn't even need to know about it, right? There we go. So I'm going to publish the event, and I'm going to consume the event. Let's see, if we go over here, adopted, great, published, and it says checking up on, and we've adopted the dog. Neat, right? This is what we want, except are we decoupled? I don't think we're fully decoupled, and the reason is because when you publish an event on one thread, it's on the same thread. It gets dispatched on the same thread. So you can see that here. If I do thread sleep, throws exception, right? I can do this again. Excuse me. Post that again. It's waiting for 5 seconds, right? So we don't want that. So what we want to do is to make this decoupled. We could do @async, but now it's no longer in the same thread. We need some way to make sure that it's handled and that it's asynchronous. So Spring Modulith, this wonderful project, helps you make the language a little bit more reliable and makes it easier to build at runtime these nice modularized code bases, right? So here, I'm going to use application module listener. Everything is the same as before. Post, what's happening? Oh, it needs to store things in the database to keep track. Right, fair enough. Republish, outstanding events and restart. Modulith, initialize schema. Fine, sounds good. Post again, voila, okay? So now, refresh, I've got this new table called event publication. Event publication. And here I've got the ID, the listener ID, the event type, the serialized state, the publication date, the completion date, and the status. Let's do it again. Publish, post, refresh. Completion date is null and processing, right? Wait 5 seconds, okay, refresh, there it is. Do it again. Post, restart, okay? It's not there. I've got this, I killed the JVM, right? There's no completion date and it's processing. But now I've lost the state, haven't I? But that's okay. Spring Modulith is using the outbox pattern. That table is meant as a transactional ledger that I can use to reconcile the state, okay? So you can see that when I restarted the application, it replayed the missed messages, okay? It's eventually consistent. So that's nice. I've got nice modular code. I'm using the primitives that have been in Spring for decades to make this nice and reliable. Do I know if it's working? How do I know if it's working? If I am modular, well, I can do application modules.of, right? Adoptions application.class, am.verify. I can document the modules, right? Document. I can print out the modules. And I'm going to run this test. So I guess I did write a test in the end. Test is green. Nice. I love green. And here's our Spring Modulith docs. You can see, if you look at the output of the test, everything's green. And it knows about the logical modules, cats, dogs, vet. It knows about the dependencies between them. It knows the beans inside of it. And this is reflected here in the plant UML architecture diagram, showing me the C4 architecture of the components in the system. This is so much better than the status quo. When you check in, some architect checks in a diagram, and then it's diverged from the state of the actual application in production. So now I've got a nice modular system. I want to take this to production. I've got Grafana running in the background there. And I'm going to turn that into 1.0, right? And this will automatically, I've also got the OpenTelemetry starter on the class path, so that's already observable. I want to add security here, okay? I'll go here and I'll add this security. Good. Okay, good, good. Command-Shift-I, reload. Now I'm going to secure my application. Here's the application. Where's my code here? Here we go. I'm going to secure the application here. And you know, I am going to create a configuration class, security configuration. Here we are. And I'll create a bean. And normally, if you want to configure Spring Security, it used to be that you created a security filter chain. But as soon as you created that security filter chain, Spring Boot's default configuration went away. So now, believe it or not, this is not secure. Everything is wide open if you do this. You have to reconfigure everything. In Spring Framework, in Spring Boot 4 and Spring Security 7, we have a customizer. So it's additive. It doesn't replace. It just adds to the existing config. So here, I'm going to enable, you know, let's see. What else? I want to enable different kinds of authentication. And I want my authentication to happen with users that are in my database. Okay? So I've got this data source. Okay? And voila. Okay, and I also want to enable different kinds of login here. So let's do that, like this. And the other thing is I want, let's see, I've got different kinds of login. Let's do that first. The first one I'm going to do is one-time tokens, right? So, hello, thank you. This one, thank you. I'll do one-time token login. Because remember, we've got usernames and passwords, but passwords are bad. They're really bad because people are terrible with passwords. When you get that email telling you to update your password, what do? You add one, save, done, right? And then you write it back on the post-it on the top of your monitor. Most people are not good with passwords. So we want to make sure that if they have to use passwords, that we treat them, you know, we do the secure thing and we make it so that these things work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an out-of-band secondary authentication factor. I'm going to send them an email or a text message. So here, is this, response.getWriter.println. You've got console mail. I'm not going to actually send them an email, but imagine that I did, right? I'm going to send it to the console so they can see the link that they should click on, and they click on the link, and then they're going to be authenticated. So please go to HTTP localhost 8080/login/OTT token equals one-time token.get token value. Okay, this should be a lambda. Good, very nice. And the other thing I want to do is I want to make sure that if we still do use passwords, that we do so in a way where we migrate old passwords to new ones when they log in. So we're going to set up this new property in Spring Security 7 called update password. Okay, so let's reload the application. Actually, that'll do it right there. Let's reload the application, and you can see I've got these tables. Here's Rob, Josh, and James. Rob has a password encoded using SHA-256. This isn't secure. So, and also, I want to show that I'm authenticated. Let's go back to the code here. I'll create a authenticated controller. Response body, class me controller. Get mapping. Map of string me principal. Okay. There you go. Whew. So now we go to me in a new window. Oh, hello. What happened? Oh, reload completely because I changed the class path. That makes sense. Okay, no problem. Reload. There you go. So it's saying, hey, do you want to log in as a user? Let's log in as Rob. Okay. Log in as Rob. It's going to match the password. Oh, there's no me endpoint. It's just /, isn't it? There you go. And if you go to the database now and look at the users, his password has been migrated. Once he's successfully authenticated, we had the plain text password. We migrated it to a better algorithm. But it's still not using one-time tokens. Let's do that instead. New incognito window. Rob, send token. You've got console mail. So I'll go check my email or something, right? My text message. Or in this case, just the console. Copy and paste this link. Paste. Voila. Now I'm logged in. Okay. Now this is good, but it's still not as good as no passwords. It's somebody else's password, Gmail and Outlook and whatever. They are managing the password here. It's their email, or it's their phone. Apple and Android have figured out how to secure passwords, but passwords are still bad, right? So what we want to do is use something even better, and there is something called WebAuthn. You might know the product name for WebAuthn, right? It's called passkeys. So we're going to set up passkeys. Now, I don't know if you've seen passkeys, right? Who's heard of passkeys? A few of you. Every website on the internet has been asking people to set up passkeys. Passkeys are, like I said, they're the product alliance for this specification called WebAuthn, and it was created by a group of companies that are trying to make the web a better place and a safer place. Small companies like 1Password, Amazon, American Express, Apple, Google, LastPass, Lenovo, Intuit, Facebook, Microsoft, PayPal, OpenAI, Okta, RSA, Samsung, etc., 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 Visa, all these companies trying to make the web a better place. So I'm not asking you to believe in this thing that will come out someday. I'm saying it's already here. This works on everything. It works on Linux, on all the browsers. It works on Mac and all the browsers. It even works on Windows. Windows, can you believe this? Windows, okay? Wow, incredible. Incredible times we live in, right? I don't know if you've followed Windows recently, but they've had some issues, okay? Small components like the start menu, the login system, the file explorer, and the file search have all been broken in different interesting ways in the last year, right? Small things like that. But this does work, even if the rest of it doesn't, okay? So I'm sure it works now. It's small stuff. Okay, so we go back over here, right? Log in. Oh, let me log out. Here we go. Incognito. Now I've got a passkey. Passkeys on Mac are stored in the passwords app. So I'm going to go to my passkeys. I've got no passkey registered for this website. So I will go here, Josh, PW, okay, authenticated. And now I'm authenticated. I'm going to go here, WebAuthn, register, okay? Now I'm going to register one, Devoxx, Greece, register. And you can do a QR code or just use your biometric. I'm going to use my fingerprint here, okay? There you go. And now I've got a thing there, and I've got my passkey, good. And now I'm just going to go here, incognito window, paste. I'm going to log in with my pass key. Okay. Ta-da, there we go, authenticated with the fingerprint. Biometrics, right? Other factors. And by the way, this key is tied in the iCloud. So if I use my phone, I can use Face ID. If I use my fingerprint, my laptop, I'm using fingerprints, right? This is an amazing, amazing situation because it's both more secure and easier for users. We don't often get both. So we've got now, a secure, observable, scalable, lightning-fast application that does what we're trying to do, and it's modular. But we're down to our last 5 minutes. So let's just build some AI, okay? We don't have a lot of time. I don't want to spend too much time. And this is where I think we have an amazing opportunity as Java and Spring developers. Remember, there's this study that came out last year, right? Last year, talking about why 95% of AI projects fail, okay? 95%. The internet is just unusable. Look at that. No, go away. There. 95% of projects fail. Can you imagine? That's way worse than PHP. That's incredible, right? And so 95% of the projects fail. You know why they fail? Because they're not built to integrate with high-value workflows. Where are the high-value workflows? They're in the business logic that we, on the JVM and in the Spring ecosystem, have developed. These applications that have driven the enterprise for years. Those are the high-value workflows. We are uniquely well-positioned here to build these integrations for people, to be a part of that 5% that delivers value. And in fact, my thinking is it's actually that we are better suited, not just as well, but better. So for example, let's go ahead and build a quick AI assistant to help people answer questions about dogs, okay? So I'll use Amazon Bedrock and Bedrock Converse, and I'll use the web support, and I'll use, what else do I want in here? Do I want anything else? We don't have a lot of time. Let's just build a simple thing right there, okay? UAO agent.zip, and this is also, this is Spring AI 2.0. It will build on Spring Boot 4.0. It comes out next month, okay? Agent. And what I want to do is I want to build a simple controller that'll start on port 80. Well, let's go ahead and stop the other one so I can just start on port 8080. Okay? And I happen to have some configuration over here. So I'll go here, I'll say samples, MISC, code, config, agent, voila. Okay? I have to configure my connection to Amazon's chat model. It doesn't matter which chat model you use. I'm using Amazon's because it's lightning fast, and I happen to have this configuration laying around, but it doesn't matter. And at controller, at response body, and I'll say agent controller, okay? And I want to use the Spring AI chat client here. I'm going to add that there. And this chat client, just like all the other clients in the Spring ecosystem, you just inject it and build it, and you're good. So I'm going to ask a question. I'll say request param string question, return this.ai.prompt.call.content, okay? And I'm going to pass in the user question here. Question is user, and I'll pass in that. Now, look, this is the Spring AI chat client. Super useful, right? I'm a big fan of the chat client. It was written by the best people, okay? The best people worked on this code, okay? Nothing but the best. So I'm a big fan of that. And this is on port 8081. Let's go ahead and ask it a question here. HTTP 8080 ask question, should I adopt a dog or a cat, right? And it's not going to know, it's going to give us a, oh, what did I do? Did I do a post? 8080 question. Request method, yeah, what did I do? This is a GET, isn't it? Did I say GET mapping? I did. Well, I don't know, did I not stop the other one? It stopped. Okay, we're going to try this again, this time with more gusto. HTTP, method, what? What is it? What? I didn't hear the answer. That is so weird. What did I do? Okay, wait, hold on. When in doubt, restart, okay? Actually, when in doubt, delete, and then restart. Okay, here we go. This time with more gusto. 8080 ask. Oh, this is why. Equals. There you go. 2 equals is obvious. Okay, so there's two two questions there. I got a lot of information about dogs and cats. Obviously, I want to build an adoption shelter for animals. So I want to use agent skills, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and use a project from the Spring AI community to do that. And you know, you can actually add, here, I'm going to add the skills on the class path. Okay, I've got a thing that my friend James Ward and I put together. It's a skill about information about, it's a skill that gives you information about animals in the shelter and just questions, it gives you information about animals in general. So I'm going to add this dependency and I'm going to set up a skill to answer questions about about animals. And the point of skills is to give more weight to information that we think is important, that is expertise that we want the AI model to have. So I'm going to say meta-inf skills, and I'll pass this over here. I'll say tool callback skill, okay? Now, we have written, James and I, we wrote two different skills here. One is about dogs. According to unverified but widely circulated legend among veterinarians, Chihuahuas are more likely to be possessed by demons, okay? This is a fact. Another one is skills, you know, here's for cats. Cats are natural Wi-Fi extenders, okay? So now, should I adopt a dog or a cat? Very important question here. Yes, cats are natural Wi-Fi extenders. Dogs, most likely to be possessed by demons. We've given the AI model weight by using skills. So this has been a very quick demo of Spring AI, and there's so much more we could do on top of this, but what I want you to understand is that we are in an amazing position here, right? We have an amazingly efficient runtime. You've probably seen this. This is a blog that talks about a study that the Portuguese did back in 2018. The results are they're not surprising. C, most energy efficient. Java, 2 times less efficient, right? Here we've got Rust, well done. C++, tui, disgusting. Ada, who cares? And then moving on, right? You've got C#, it's pie, delicious. You've got Go, away. You've got these disgusting languages, nope. And here's the most apples to apples comparison. JRuby, a large code base written in Java, versus Ruby, a large code base written in C. In the large, Java programs are more efficient, not less than C, right? You can see that right here. 2 like-for-like, apples-for-apples comparisons, and the JRuby code base is better. What about with MCP and AI? Well, look at this. Here's this great thing, a study from February looking at the performance of different ecosystems, Java and Spring AI and Spring Boot versus Go, Node, and Python, okay? Now, I'm not going to show you everything because I know we're short on time here, but overall performance metrics, the JVM had the best latency, right? The total number of requests were higher and the throughput was highest on the JVM. Go was second, but not too far behind. Node was an order of magnitude worse. And Python, by the way, this is awkward. The MCP implementation they're using is called fast MCP. Can you imagine the slow MCP? This is 26.4. It's less than, my goodness, it's less than a fifth. It's like 20%, right? Terrible. And then same thing for everything else. The RAM usage on the JVM is 28%. So we have an amazingly efficient runtime. We have an amazing efficient ecosystem. The JVM is an amazing place. The Spring ecosystem is where all the business logic is. We are really well suited. And by the way, this is not to say that, I hear all this stuff about people saying, oh, well, we're just going to vibe code everything. And I just don't know that that's real, right? Remember, a lot of people got hired in the pandemic. More than ever, right? Now they're losing people. But good news, people are starting to realize, okay, AI is good if you give it a good, well-scoped application of process and context. But if you don't, you get bad results. Here's what they did a study last year, and the study looks at this. People that are using AI take 19% longer to complete issues, and even worse, they believe that they were sped up by 20%, right? They felt better, but they were going slower. Right? So for serious, high-level, big applications, you've got to pay attention to this. And this creates a technical debt. What that means is you get churn. Right? Look at this. This is technical debt. We see, where's the churn? Here we go. Where is the churn table? Here. 41% of all new code is code generated, but 39% of it now had to be refactored more often. Right? They added a bunch of code and then they deleted a bunch of code and reworked it because it wasn't ready to go into production, right? And the result is that now, because senior people, good people, are being required to help fix this code, Jobs are actually going up, okay? Here's businessinsider.com. This is from this month, April 3. The jobs market reported a sharp rebound in 2026, more than 67,000 new jobs, highest level in over 3 years. My friends, we have an amazing ecosystem. We are well situated with with the business logic. We have the best runtime, the best ecosystem full of frameworks to build these systems and services at scale, and our expertise is needed. So when I tell you there has never been a better time to be a Java and Spring developer, I'm not kidding. And now I have an extra terrible dog. Thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.